Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
So today we have Patrick Hunter with us. And Patrick, I'm not quite sure how we're going to start this conversation, but I'd love to understand how you got to where you are, where you grew up, and how you became this serial entrepreneur. So Patrick, great to have you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, when I was a kid, I had a wild imagination. I wasn't very good in school, so I had to find alternative things to do. And I went from one thing to another. I started out, I always had a passion for learning and tearing things apart. So I figured out how to radios work, bicycles, then cars, then houses. And then I came across people and human behavior, and I've kind of been there ever since. But yeah, no. And everybody I met that had money came from real estate. So I figured, well, why not go after the real estate? So I started in mortgages and then ended up going into real estate, became my own broker because I don't like playing well with others. And then I love teaching and I love sharing and I love helping people get that aha factor. So I had a corporate training company for over 10 years and I still do the training and I love that part of it. But I'm always passionate about real estate and training. So
what would you say coming into the real estate world or being in the real estate world, what would you say, maybe not the most common error, but what would you say to a real estate professional that perhaps they are not doing now that they maybe should be thinking about doing?
well, I think that most people, when they get into real estate, they have a very, very scattered approach. And it really, there's so many ways to do real estate that you really need to find an area of real estate to be passionate about and stick with it until you have really big success. Because a lot of people don't achieve success. The average lifespan of a real estate agent is like 6 to 8 months. They
Oh,
get in,
wow.
they sell, they get in, they sell their mom's house, their uncle's house, their friend's house, and then they realize, oh my God, this is hard work. And then they end up getting out of it, and it's very complicated. They don't understand the psychology. There's a lot to it, and you really got to be passionate about what you do. And if you want to help people, and that's the number one thing, focus on helping people, whatever niche of real estate you're in. You want to have everybody have a win-win situation. I've been in it 40 years. I've never been sued. I've never been brought to arbitration because I always, cross my T's and dot my I's, and I make sure everything is understood by everyone. That's a huge thing that there didn't used to be what we called transaction coordinators in our business. We used to understand the contracts ourselves. And now with the onset of transaction coordinators and the fact that everything is digital, people don't understand the contracts. They don't read the contracts. They don't know the contracts. So know your stuff, and focus on getting business and helping people and getting the referrals, and it will grow automatically. So.
Well, what would you say you should real estate agents start out and do a lot of cold calling? How would you say to market yourself?
Well, first thing they got to do is the one thing I do with new agents is I teach them if you don't know your inventory, you cannot speak extemporaneously and excited about the product. So what I do with agents the first time is I say, okay, I want you to go make a list and go on the MLS and find every single story house. Now go on there and find every single story house with a 3-car garage. Now go on there and find all the 4-bedroom houses. And then I want you to go tour all these each time until you master the location. Which ones have HOA? Which ones have high taxes? Which ones, because like right now in some of these new builds that they're building out here, the Mellow Roofs assessments are running 50 years.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I talked to the agent at the builder. I said, how long are these assessments for? Oh, 50 years. I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
what?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. But yeah, know your inventory. So when you actually get somebody and they say, hey, well, we're looking for this, you go, oh, I know 2 neighborhoods exactly like that. And that's going to set you completely apart from the guy that says, oh, let me get on here and look. You
Yeah,
know,
I think
know
that's a
your stuff.
very common trait of most early real estate folks is they just don't know the inventory, whether it's commercial or residential, they have no clue what's out there.
Exactly.
They depend on
Exactly.
the database to go search.
Exactly. And that's the same in commercial too. You know, you got to know what your net leases are. You got to know what's going on. You got to know how long your terms are. I mean, it's all for this building or that building. Can it be sublet? You know, if you know your inventory, you're going to be way ahead of 90% of the other people in your industry.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in this case, it's the 90-10 rule, right? You're going to be 90% ahead of the other 10, well, 10%, you're going to be in the 10% and they're going to be in the 90%.
Right. And you know, if you look at the amount of people that are doing business, the successful ones, it's always been that. There's 10% of the top realtors, brokers, agents that are doing 90% of the business, and everybody else has to feed off of the scraps. So,
Well, I was surprised by your number that most residential real estate agents, the average length of time is, what did you say, 6 to 8 months?
six
And
to
then
eight
they
months,
bail
yeah,
out.
for new agents, yeah.
And they probably have enough money maybe to live on for 6 to 8 months. And if they make one sale, they think, okay, great, I can last a little longer here. But then they all of a sudden realize the funnel, so to speak, the marketing funnel runs out.
Exactly, because when they get in, first of all, most of them join a brokerage that will now we have all these teams and stuff, but they're getting a very, very small percentage of the commission.
Right.
They start out in the business. So you can't survive on that, especially if you're only doing one deal every 4 months or something. They treat it like a hobby, not a business too. You know, most people don't realize this is a business. That means you show up early and you stay late and you learn and you got to understand that contacts make contracts. And if you're not out there contacting sellers, contacting buyers, contacting potential clients every single day, then you're not in business.
Yeah, you're not going to last very long.
No,
Well, and then the kind of flip side of that is that you really have to be in the mindset of trying to help someone versus sell someone.
exactly. And that helps people, you know, build their confidence if they know that they're just going to go out there and help people and they don't have to have all the answers. Because what I used to tell people is, you know what? I don't know that answer, but I know 5 people that do. So if you'll please allow me to get the answer for you, maybe a couple of different people can give me different answers. I'll get you the solution and the best answer. Does that sound good?
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think a lot of people are not willing to admit they don't know something, and they're going to end up saying something that, might be wrong, and then
Well, yeah,
they get in trouble.
absolutely. Talking is teaching, listening is learning. So you're better off listening to people and find out what they're about and what their needs are, as opposed to talking and teaching them what you're all about or what you don't know.
So, how can people kind of get a hold of you if they want to be coached in terms of trying to increase their residential real estate market and so forth?
Well, they can get a hold of me either at the vikingprofessor.com or they can get a hold of me on my email, which is myvikingprofessor@gmail. And they can call me at 951-249-3588.
So, give us a little tickler of what you might potentially provide them along the way.
Well, first of all, we have to do a needs analysis, find out where they're at, what their goals are, and then we can go from there. But what they can expect is I don't charge anything until I've sat down with them, and then we go ahead and I give them some advice on what they can do, some of the ways they can benefit for free a couple of times, and then if they like what they've learned from the coaching, they can sign up a coaching agreement depending upon whether they want to work with me for 1 month, 6 months. If they want me to partner with them on their deals because I am a broker, I can help them and they can just pay me with referral fees as well. So that's something that's really worked out a lot for the newer agents, is because they don't know how to get the deal, then they don't know what to do with it. And not only that, I'm short sale foreclosure certified.
Oh,
So if they come across somebody that's in trouble that they don't know how to deal with, I will co-list it with them and actually walk them through the deal. Not only will they get an education, but the deal will close.
So
So
do some of these folks end up signing up under your brokerage? Or
no, I don't hire any of the agents. What I'll do is I'll do a co-listing with them and their company, their broker, or I'll do a referral agreement based on the deal, and I'll walk them through the deal and teach them. So
so just out of curiosity, if you're not going to use the referral base approach, what sort of dollars are we talking about just out of curiosity for 1 month or 6 months? What might that end up?
if somebody wants to hire me as a coach, it's basically around 3 grand for an initial coaching, and that's good for 90 days. They can call me anytime with any questions. We'll go ahead and make them a success plan, which is actually a step-by-step process customized for them. Because the thing is you're different, I'm different, our styles are different. Who knows what style you are until we evaluate it. So some people shouldn't even be in sales or marketing. They should be behind the scenes. So what kind of a person are you? Are you a facilitator, or are you a out front person? You know, if you're the negotiator, which one are you? So I'll talk to them about that, and that's in the free evaluation. I'll let them know, hey, based on what I'm seeing here, you might be better off in the behind scenes handling the paperwork, or you might be better off in this kind of business doing this.
So that's interesting. So based on your analysis of who they are, or the analysis of who they are, you might actually advise them, maybe residential real estate or commercial real estate, maybe that isn't where you ought to be.
Yes, I've done that many times.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. They may be better off doing the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts of the transaction.
Right, which some people love being behind. In fact, most of the agents that I talk to, they would rather be a TC, the new agents. They're afraid to do all the door knocking or the phone calling, cold calling. They don't have the right kind of personality for that. They are scared. They come across. It doesn't mean that they can't learn the behavior to modify themselves and get over that and build the confidence. But if you're new in real estate, you want to make money, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're going to partner with somebody who's more experienced, who has that kind of thing, and you could just go for a ride along until you develop your own skills, or you can learn them right off the bat with me. I'll take you through, and I will accelerate your learning process by years.
Oh, that's
So
interesting. So you have a way of helping people learn without them really even knowing it.
exactly.
You can take them
Yes,
step by step through a memorization process.
absolutely. Yeah, they don't even know what they don't know until they get trained. So and start using it.
Well, I think for those listening that want to get a head start on their, even if they're experienced, it sounds like you can do them a great deal of good.
I talk to people who've been in the business and all different businesses for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and they don't have self-awareness. They don't understand who they are. They don't understand how they're coming across to their clients. They don't know how they're being projected, and then they wonder why everything falls apart, or they don't get the deal, or their competitors eating their lunch.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's really important to become self-aware. And if you've got to have a second set of eyes to do that in most cases. So that's what I do.
that is fantastic. Have you heard of highly sensitive people?
Is that a book or?
No, I did a podcast recently with a lady named Parastu Imani, and
Yeah,
she taught me about highly sensitive people, which I'd never heard of before. It's a personality trait, not a, dyslexic or other type of trait. So anyway, you might look that up. I'll send you some information on it. I was intrigued
sure,
by
sure. I'm a lifelong learner for sure. Now,
it.
now, in what context is a sensitivity? Is it they're sensitive to everyone around them? They're sensitive to people's, are they intuitive?
There are four different categories, and I'll send that to you so you can understand
Okay,
it. Anyway, it was a very intriguing conversation that I thought maybe you would be interested in. So, at any
perfect. I
rate,
love it. Yeah.
Well, let's keep in touch. Let's see if we can do some real estate transactions ourselves. And
Absolutely.
you're in Southern California, I'm in Northern California, but we can still refer each other transactions.
Yeah, I do deals all over the country, so not a problem.
That would be great. Well, I would look forward to it.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.